Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to the tezos-artcast. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever you're at. I hope everybody's doing good. I'm PC84, aka Jeff, here to be your guide through the afternoon. Tezos-artcast is a place where we get together and meet different artists, musicians, writers, game designers who are using, experimenting, dabbling in NFTs, specifically on the Tezos blockchain. So I'm excited to be here, and again, thank you for all hanging out. I was just perusing the TIA website, the new community. It was the hen community split, and the name that was voted on by the community to continue the Hickory legacy in the vision of the Hickory community, and came across these Dennis Rodman pixel pictures, and I got a kick out of that. Dennis Rodman was like such a, like, it's crazy now to think of Dennis Rodman as like this really controversial figure, because I mean, at the time, being a kid, like I remember very specifically, where is it? The other one, his tattoos and his piercings and his crazy colored hair. It was just like, my conservative household was not pleased by the Dennis Rodman part of basketball. And my brother at the time, my kind of stepbrother or whatever, he was big into basketball. And so seeing this guy come out with eyeshadow on TV and piercings and crazy colored hair was like, it was so evil. Now it's like, yeah, dude, just do your thing. But yeah, it's so crazy to think it was so controversial then. Yeah, I got a kick out of that. That was great. Maybe the other one was not Dennis Rodman. I had Dennis Rodman in my head, and it looks like this is a totally different artist, and I just glommed on to the pixel art, and I was like, oh, he's got a series. Rodman is Maryland number 8. Dennis Rodman hates basketball and always wanted to be Marilyn Monroe. Anyway, glad to see you all here. NFT Raider, what's up? Luke Bertazzi, 16, how's it going? Yeah, I'm excited today. It's been a pretty great week, all things considered. Work here in Las Vegas is surprisingly busy still. Surprising and not surprising. I mean, people got to get away, and people are. I mean, if it would be crazy now, if only. Let's see. What am I trying to say? I think it's good that people are going out and about a little bit. If they're being safe and taking care of each other, but nothing's changed. Like, as soon as the pandemic, the quarantine lifted here, we've been busy in the service industry, on the Strip anyway. But I digress. It's been taxing, a taxing weekend, but now we're here in the middle of the week, and we're ready to kick back, look at some art, talk about art and writing, and I'm excited to be doing what will be the second Artcast, bringing on a poet and getting into that, because there's a lot of things to be said and talked about in the literary aspect of NFTs and what they're going to bring. The visual arts definitely dominate what we've got going on. Video, and the visual lend themselves obviously to kind of the interactive media nature of the screen, and NFTs as well, like buying and selling art. I think music and literature have a different. There's going to be a different. There's different outcomes to how it's gonna change. If it changes how people consume writing, how people consume music, and there's some really interesting approaches that can be taken. So I'm excited to to keep exploring those and tune in and mute. Bleh. Sorry, the coffee's getting to me. All right, enough talk. Let's talk more talk. That's what my friend Carrie used to say at our poetry readings. Let's talk more talk. Okay, so I hope everyone's good, like I said, and let's just jump in. I'm excited. If you're in the if you're viewing and want to chance at a little giveaway, make sure to just say hello in the chat or drop your address in the chat. I'll be sending something out special for everybody today that participates in the chat, and yeah, maybe some other fun stuff as well. So let me go ahead and welcome my guest. I'm excited to welcome them in, and I just want I wish I had an applause button. I should get an applause button to welcome people in. So welcome in Mechant Coppola. Hey.
Hello.
Oh, I could hear you for a second. Oh, now you're gone. We're having some there. Oh, almost.
Sorry, I know what it is. I have a common issue here, and I hope. Yeah, I just need to replug my cable. Don't ask why. Sometimes.
Okay, I can just give you a sign language symbol like this or something.
Yeah. Probably if you can't hear me, then I'm just. It will look like this because I have to bend over to reach my cable. And then it's everything.
No worries. I just got these headphones recently. I lost them and then I found them again. And the one thing that I have a problem with is that they do the same thing. They'll just pop out just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like just make them fit. I don't know. Anyway, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Hello.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mechant Coppola, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Yeah, and I guess just a quick intro, a little bit about yourself for our viewers.
Yes, I call myself Mechant Coppola here. I'm from the southern part of Germany. I'm a designer by profession, and I'm working in visual effects for movies and TV shows as my day job. And I've been exploring NFT art, visual poetry for the last year, basically, and everything on Tezos because it was so accessible that I just tested stuff here, and then it was just too much fun to let it go, basically, and that's when I was drawn in. So, and I've always been very interested in literature, but this was always just a little side thing, like a hobby or something, and this was the perfect opportunity for me to start a real project, so to speak.
Yeah.
And to explore this. Yeah.
Awesome. So you said you've been involved in the visual arts for a long time. So when did you kind of what's an early memory of yours that you were like captivated by like film or kind of the arts when you were younger?
That's a nice question. I just had to think about it, and now I know what I will talk about as a little anecdote. My mother is an artist, a fine arts artist. She works with stones normally and carves stuff and sculptures out of stones. So I was always, as a kid, I was always in the basement where her workshop was, and I was just around a lot of stuff she collected, and there's the collection part that comes in already.
Right.
Because all the artists I know personally, they are also.
We lost you. We lost you there.
Again.
So the artists you knew have all had some kind of collections?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
As an inspiration.
Right.
My mother, for example, had skulls of animals or something in a shelf like this, and it was
Nice.
always, as a kid, it was cool because I had this clay lying around and I had this stuff. So this is something I remember. And then catalogs of art exhibitions. I had one in particular. It was a private. It was an exhibition of a private collection of a big collector, art collector.
Yeah.
And there was these like such a big book so thick, and as a kid I loved going through it because it was ordered by chronological, right?
Yeah.
So you went from medieval stuff to really modern 20th century stuff, and it was just I remember I spent lots of time with this particular catalog. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's cool though. Yeah, I can imagine being around like you said, like skulls and giant pieces of rock, just like watching that be carved out. That's wild because I don't know. I know a lot of artists, but I don't know a lot of sculptors that work in stone. Like I feel like that's a very specialized field and kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, it's always working against the material you work with, right? Because you have it. It makes everything a little bit harder. You have to carry the stones to your workshop,
Right.
And my mother had this, like, there was one project by her where she took big giant chunks of stone and tried to, like, she drilled holes into it, and then she used only I don't know how it's called, if you put something in the holes and more and use a hammer and
Yeah.
just stuff in there, and then it breaks open, and then she really started her creative process because she used the texture that comes out of the stone naturally to form something out of it. So
Right.
stuff like this, very niche, but art is always niche, I guess.
Right. Did you ever pick up that particular practice yourself?
Apart from the clay, not really. I really started early on to stare at computer screens.
Sure. Sure.
And then I was like, it was more or less a little bit by chance that I was just getting I applied for this design university, and then I was picked up, and then I just went. It all went organically, right? So I've during the courses I found my love for movie, for film, and then I just went there.
Right.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Were there some films in particular that are still like close to your heart? I mean, I can't help but think that maybe your profile picture alludes to it a little bit, but that could just be. I mean, it's a really cool picture.
I'm drawn. I would say I'm a little bit drawn to scary stuff, or to artsy scary stuff. So German expressionism movies are always a good source of inspiration, or at least or just of entertainment for me.
Yeah.
So, that's why I have this profile picture, and I just remember I just took it because it was on my drive, because I had it as a reference for something.
Yeah.
And then and then I thought,
Oh, gotcha. Lost again. As your headphones. Whoop whoop. Yep.
so this.
It's all good. So you had it as a reference on a drive, and
Yeah, and then I just ran with it, and I didn't change it yet. Maybe I should, but let's see.
I don't know. It's definitely like it's definitely like an icon, like that it works well.
Those movies
Yeah.
are so. Movies are so like paintings. You know, they are very abstract sometimes. Very bold and expressionistic, of course. So yeah, always every scene, every shot is really really artsy and full of inspiration, I would say.
Yeah, and can you tell a little bit about what, just real quick, for if people don't know your profile picture and where that picture's from, just so they can check it out.
Yeah, it's a silent movie called Das Kabinett des Dr. Caligari, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. It's from the 20s or something, 1920s Germany. There was a big there was a Germany had a very big movie industry back then for a very very short period of time until the Nazis came and basically closed every art
Yeah.
form down basically. But before that, before the Nazis came in, there was a flourishing art scene, especially around Berlin, where they did lots of great movies. Most of you have probably seen Metropolis, or at least seen still frames of it, which was also a very influential movie of that period. Very, very lots of visual effect tricks were developed back then. There's also maybe the connection to visual effects there, that they really changed the backgrounds. They painted backgrounds. They built like strange surrealistic stuff in there and just used it as a scene for their acting. And then there's this paint. You can see it in my profile pic. Also, there's bold paint in the faces, so you can see the eyes better and stuff. So it's very very expressionist style, and yeah, it's worthwhile checking it out. German expressionism in movies. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I just pulled this up real quick. Let's see.
Yeah,
it's a good. That's from that movie in particular. You can see that, like, that hand painted kind of like depths and stark contrasts, and yeah.
Yeah, and the perspectives are always like breaking down in the frame, right? So everything feels like from a dream or something, because you can't really you can't see the perspective really, and this makes for a very interesting effect. And yes, it was pre-computer days, so they had to build everything, or at least double exposure sometimes, I guess. But yeah, everything is strange in there, and I love strangeness.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it comes through in your work that you like the strange. Now, so you, through school, you kind of developed a love for film. You were saying, and design. Did you automatically just kind of get out of school and start working on film, or were there other projects that you worked on and you've ended up happened to be in film?
Yeah, so I always have one. I would say I would split it. I have always one day job career line I go, and one more trying out stuff, artsy hobby. Let's don't call it hobby, but you know what I mean, like experimental art, whatever.
Sure.
So the film one, the day job career was very very straightforward. I started working while I was still in university, and then I just went on. Like it's a very niche thing here, at least, and they are always looking for people. So I had always interesting job offerings, and started to just get in there, and then from then on I just kept on working. And the more experimental stuff I do is always, I just do what I come across. I did a lot of music. I did a lot. I have here in the community of my city, the radio, community radio. I do some shows on literature. I wrote. I just, whatever I see and I feel like comfortable trying, I just try it.
Yeah.
And so the NFT part was also one thing I just saw how interesting. I just want to try it, and then I tried it. So yeah.
Nice. With kind of all that experimentation and everything that brought you to NFTs, you mentioned literature being a big part of your influence. Did you discover a lot of literature in school that kind of shaped your outlook on how you create? And in the same way that film might have?
I think for the literature part, it's very similar to the art part. I mentioned going through these catalogs of my mother had in her workshop, and we also had somehow a big pile of books, and I just started to just read stuff, and I was always drawn to older stuff somehow, older, like especially 19th century literature, German, which is a period where there was also like the expressionistic stuff, very similar aesthetics in literature.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Romanticism, and it's a little bit like Edgar Allan Poe did get a lot of inspiration from that period, and one of my favorite authors, from whom I also took the name Mechant Coppola, in my favorite books. It's a long story, but basically
I ask anyway. So
it's dark romanticism that deals a lot with the idea of subconsciousness, which was slowly developing. There was not a thing like psychology or something.
sure.
But the literature always, like, of the periods, explored this, like the depth of psychology. A lot of fairy tales were already projected onto psychology, and all this stuff happens in a very playful and ironic way, at least in the German literature of that period.
Yeah.
So I started to love that very early, and I started to read in that period, and then from then on I just went on, and but yeah, I wish I had as much time to read stuff like this anymore. That's one thing I'm a little bit sad about. I don't get to read that much anymore.
Yeah, you got to carve out a little time for yourself to get a little half hour in a little nook in your house or something.
Yeah, and headspace too, right?
Yeah, headspace. Yeah. You said that the name Mechant Coppola you took from one of your favorite books.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way? I mean, is it one of the characters or okay? What's so the name's coming from a character in one of your favorite books?
Yes, he's not called Mechant Coppola, but his second name is Coppola, and he's a merchant. And I just found it funny to call myself merchant when I'm dealing with NFTs. That was the main reason. It's a doppelganger motive in this book, and Coppola is the doppelganger of the evil lawyer that traumatized the main protagonist. And he sees this merchant while studying in the town where he studies, and he gets re-traumatized. It's all described, of course, not as a trauma, but it's clearly what it describes, because the terminology wasn't there yet. But
Sure.
It's very interesting, and it's all some kind of dark fairy tale, crafted fairy tale. And
If someone wanted to check that out, what's the title of that book?
Der Sandman, aka The Sandman.
The Sandman.
Yeah, by E.T.A. Hoffman.
Okay.
Yes. And it also was a cool incident. So I have two main accounts on Hicket Nunc. So one is called Mechant Coppola, and the other is called Advocatus Coppelius, and those are the two doppelgangers in that book. So I just ran with that.
Nice. I like it. I don't know if I spelled it right in the chat. I wanted to make a little note, but The Sandman by E.T.A. Hoffman?
Double the F in Hoffman, then you're 100% correct.
Awesome. I wanted to say hello to everybody in the chat that's popped in over the last 20 minutes or so. Mel Mass, hello, gives us a little heart, as well as Rura Liddell? Rura, we'll just say Rura. Cyberword, nice hearing about your background merch. Downtown Charleston, what's up? And Cyber was nice enough to link also to Cabinet of Caligari for free if anybody's interested It is in the public domain now, and I had my wife get me a copy on DVD for Christmas. I was like, I want one German expressionist film. Here's a couple. These are a couple of my favorites. So, yeah. Quizio says, I always wondered about the profile pic, but never asked. And then Uffed Up Waves, Mel Mass, loved your quote, experimental art, whatever. Awesome. Yeah, guys. Saint Genre just popped in the chat as well. And Quizio says, now I know. Thank you. Yeah, it's a cool background story. And yeah, I've been dying to ask about the name, so now I know what literature to go crawling through. I didn't realize that there was. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I had found out about German Expressionism when I visited LA and decided to go downtown and check out their arts museum, and they happened to be doing a big installation all about German Expressionism, and I was like, oh, I recognize that Metropolis, robot thing, and but the way that they had it set up was so amazing. Like the whole place was kind of decked out in this like dark black and white motif, and you'd go into these like tunnels, and there was like a tunnel that had like these stills and stills from movies, like The Golem was one of them, and I remember they had the Golem playing inside this cave, and then there was these lit up stills everywhere. And but a couple of those movies really stuck out to me, and I was like, I love black and white anyway, so it was just like even more drew me in. But it makes sense that that's not just it wasn't just a film thing only. It was a creative outlet in general, an arts movement that spanned all of the arts.
Yeah, and it's. I think I don't know. I haven't studied every culture enough to judge this, but I think it's a particular German thing. This kind of dark romanticism thing that's seen throughout his cultural history, where it's always about exploring dark sides while also being a little bit whiny. I would always say I would almost say whiny about the downfall of a certain nature utopia that's never been there, but it's always kind of in the between the lines. There's always this longing for something, like for utopia or something that supposedly has been there but never really was, if you look at the history, right?
Right.
But, it goes, like, you can find it coming up throughout the cultural history of Germany, at least as far as I can see. I'm not a historian, but yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah.
Right, and that's an interesting. That kind of makes me think about like a lot of people right now in the States. I mean, particularly right now, from my perspective, kind of are like longing for this like perfect America that was, but never really was. Like there was like these perfect time frames for a very small subset of people, and it's that same kind of feeling where it's kind of whiny about this thing that we've lost, but really, if you think about it, we've never had it. So it's interesting that you brought that up.
And that's also the double-edged sword of nostalgia, right? You're dreaming yourself into a past that never really was, that kind of was. It's always fun to think back if you have good memories. Hopefully, then it's always fun to reimagine yourself. But it's also meaning you turn your head away from the future or from what is now, right? So it's a double-edged sword. But it's interesting to dive into this. I would say cultural artifacts, or however we want to call it.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if, I mean, again, you're in the film industry. do you see any of those kind of sentiments running through like modern film? Maybe not exact replicas of kind of what that German expressionism was doing, but like a similar whiny sentiment maybe in maybe some current fashion.
Oh, that's something to think about, right?
No, I'm just yeah.
I would say superhero movies are a little bit an expression of that.
Okay.
In the sense that it's kind of stuck in a loop of repeating itself, the whole genre, right?
Yeah.
It's always twisted a little bit, but it's also always, I would say, it's a little bit nostalgic because it's also if you see how the target group for those movies goes up, and it's not like you. I have the feeling, and I don't want to, please, no offense to anyone who likes superhero movies, that's super fine, but I feel like there is this element of nostalgia embedded into that genre, if you ask me what
Whoops, sorry, I think hold on, there we go. Yes, the mic isn't connected. Uffed Up, thank you for letting us know about the audio levels. Appreciate you. Let's see here. I think I might have messed something up. I'm sorry about that. Here, let me disconnect real quick and reconnect. Let's see if that helps. There you are.
Sorry, my bad.
It's okay. Your audio is a little bit low. I'm not sure why.
What?
Yeah. 1 second.
I'm quiet. Should I turn myself up a little bit?
Yes.
I can go up. So is it good now?
I can turn it up a little bit. Let me do it on this end. Go ahead and test it out.
Yeah, test, hello.
Yeah, something's a little bit different, but
I know.
Okay, I brought you up a little bit. Oh. We dancing. Still low. Okay. Let's see here. While Merchant gets this sorted out real quick, Raider in the chat, still low, yes. Yeah, silent now, yeah. Merchant is working on it, no worries. He's going to reconnect now. But yeah, fascinating stuff. I'm loving talking about film and all that. Superhero movies. Hopefully no one's too turned off by the diss on the superhero movies, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling what he's saying. Let's see here.
Now it should work again.
Oh yeah.
The sound should be better. I have a bad microphone in that camera, and sometimes it jumps onto that, and it sounds weird. And now it should sound good again. I hope at least.
Yeah, I can hear you. You sound a lot better now on my end. Let me know in the chat. We got a thumbs up from Uffed Up, so I think we're good.
Thanks.
So you were saying about superhero films and
yeah. I think mainstream culture is the one thing, but also an interesting part of nostalgia-driven media or art is always what is happening in the, I would say, subculture realm or in the internet culture realm, and I feel like we are leaving this, like from younger. As far as I can see, I'm an old fart too, but as far as I can see, the younger generation seems to me to be less drawn onto nostalgia than my generation, the millennials, for example. So maybe we are leaving this wave a little bit, but who knows? I don't know. I'm just trying to look at stuff. I think, for example, something like vaporwave movement or something, if you're familiar with that, is a very, very interesting subculture subculture to look at in that regard, because it's also drawn to a special kind of nostalgia, of a special kind of longing for something, and whininess too, but in a fun way, I would say. Yeah.
So when did you? How did you find out about NFTs? What kind of, you were in the film industry, you've been creating your own personal art, your own personal creative stuff, and then somebody invited you to Foundation or something, or
no. I just read an article in early last year, some kind of article that described how big the environmental impact of NFTs are, but I didn't even know what NFTs were, so it was a little bit strange to read. So digital art and CO2 emission or something, and I was just, what's happening here? I'm interested, and then I started to research what it even is. I knew a little tiny bit of about crypto, because I've been on a lot of I have a lot of friends that are in the hacker community, and they were already past that whole crypto thing, right? So it was already falling out of favor, or how do you say, out of vogue.
Yeah.
So we were already past that, and then I came across this article, and suddenly, it was an interesting new field, because, as I said, I love art and I love digital art, so I just wanted to know what's happening here. The emissions, CO2 emissions aside, I wanted just to know what is this, and then I researched and I saw, okay, so on Ethereum, basically every transaction is pretty intensive and costs a lot of money too. So what are the alternatives? And if you remember, in January or February or something, February I think it was, or even March, there wasn't that much alternatives to Ethereum marketplaces. So I basically landed on Hic Nunc. It was just the one thing every of those questions led to, and then I just put something up there, right? It doesn't really cost much, and then and also my wife is also illustrator, so I was also drawn into that too, because I wanted to ask her if she wanted to also try it. She also tried it, but she's out of it at the moment. Does other stuff. And I stayed, basically.
And just for reference, and just for viewers maybe coming in later, or who haven't, or who are just joining for the first time, Hic Nunc is the name of the marketplace. It was one of the first marketplaces out on Tezos, if not the first. I think it was the first. Calumet opened up a couple days later, I believe. But what is now hicetnunc.art is definitely a cool thing to check out. HICETNUNC.ART. That was kind of one of the first marketplaces, and it's got all these people excited. And some stuff happened over the last year. I don't really want to go into that here, because that's not what the show's about. But you've been really involved in the Hic Nunc forums on Discord, and not to go into the history, there was essentially a split in the community where the original developer that made Hic Nunc pulled away, and to put it lightly, and the community really wanted to keep going with it, and being an open source project, they were able to, and they wanted to move away from the name Hic Nunc, and have now landed on TEIA, TEIA.art. So I encourage people to go check that out as well. Can you just touch a little bit about your involvement in the TEIA community, and how that's been for you?
Yeah,
How you got involved in the first place? I mean, was it just
I was
so passionate and involved in the conversations, and
I only know that I somehow ended up in the hackathon, but I don't know how I got there, to be honest. Suddenly I was there.
Hackathon was basically a hackathon
Yeah.
For Hicketdunk to help add features and community tools and stuff from the community and make it better. Right.
Exactly. So a group of people wanted to just spend, at first it was one weekend of just contributing. Let's call it just contributing, gathering ideas and gathering resources to develop stuff, right? And I was part of the group that was writing the code of conduct and manifesto. And I remember at the first hackathon weekend, this atmosphere was really, really something special to me, because everyone was working in these Discord groups, and there was really, everyone really got stuff done, and it was an interesting atmosphere of collaboration and yeah, let's just try stuff. And I was especially drawn, and maybe that's why I'm so drawn to the TIA community at the moment. I was especially drawn to the spirit of just doing stuff, like throwing spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks, kind of like this chaotic approach of everyone just throws in commitment, and in the end the magical machine spits out development. So this was something that really, really got me interested or invested. And I found this again now. Let's just put it that way. I feel the spirit again at the moment on what we're doing on the tiers. And there's a freedom in that, a chaotic freedom, which I really, really like. So maybe that's why I'm so active at the moment there. Yeah.
Excellent. And let's show some of that. So this is your main profile here on TIA. Mm-hmm. When did you decide to start putting text out there? Was typography and text one of your original things to kind of mince, where you were like, you know what, I want to play with words and images, because this is, for me anyway, kind of loosely following you over the last year. This is kind of representative of what I think of as your style, like, kind of your signature, where, there's this poetic element, but the image speaks a lot as well.
The one thing I can say is I always hated typography in university, the course, because I'm really not good at, or I thought I wasn't good at judging words by their layout or by their design. So if you look at my page here, you see it's only one font style and nothing else, because I'm not good at picking fonts, I guess.
Okay.
And the reason why I started doing this was because I wanted to try something on this marketplace, and I know I think of myself as being kind of good with words, or with putting meanings together. So I thought that was something I had in the bank. But what I'm not good at is drawing or something. I can draw a little bit, but in my opinion, that's not worthwhile putting it out there. I do that for myself. But I knew I had this. I wanted to do something with words, and looking at all these creations tabs led me to think that it would be cool to have something like boxes that contain ideas. So these similarly layouted boxes, and I can just show an idea, and in the most minimal way I can find, and using one font type on white background always is just my idea of breaking something to a minimalist idea. So that's how basically the concept works for me, at least.
Yeah, it's mesmerizing to look at, and I really enjoy it, especially because I've always been drawn to, in my own writing, in other people's writing, like spacing and the way things are laid out. Like E. E. Cummings kind of comes to mind as being someone who, when I first read some of their poetry, I was shocked and excited at the same time, because it just kind of broke down a lot of the conventions I already had in my mind of like what a poem has to be, or how it has to be shown. And I've always enjoyed experimenting with that, like space on a page. What does it mean? Or you can add a lot of meaning to a very small set of words by the way you place them on a page. So I think you're experimenting with that and doing that at a very high level. If
it loads.
Yeah, if it loads.
Normally those files aren't that big, but yeah.
Might be some of these other tabs I've got open too. So
yeah, try the IPFS link. Sometimes that works better.
Oh, there you go. Just know that. Oh, I lost your audio. I think my system might be just having a little bit of a hookup. Or hiccup.
Hiccup.
Yeah.
For sure, it's not the marketplace. I can assure you about that. Yeah.
But
maybe it's just the concept that it's just black, and I embedded an alpha channel there, and you can't see it.
Oh, you know what? I bet that's 100% it. Where's my tab?
No, there shouldn't be an alpha channel. That was a joke.
I've come across a couple of things though that, because I have the there
it is.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And again the imagery and the word and all of the jumble of letters around it. Can you talk about this a little bit, and kind of how you went about creating it, and what was behind it?
Yeah, this one. So there's a few different ways a concept or an idea comes to me. Sometimes it pops into my head, and sometimes it's more work. And for this one I had the word misery in my head, and I always like to play around with contradicting it, or like if I have a word that I want to work with, I often try to play with contradictions or non-meanings or something. Or so solace was pretty much the best word for me to use in this case, because it's ambiguous. It has it has a lot of lots of different meanings, and it can be used as a contradicting statement or word to misery. And then I just started, because I like to shuffle these not shuffle, but to just have this dark, noisy texture of layering words upon each other. It always looks misery to me. Like if I shuffle these, if they are just so sticking so much together, trying to cling to themselves, but also resulting in just a noise pattern that is basically that is pretty it speaks to me like misery. And solace, using the word solace for that, really for me it's a little bit of a contradicting statement. This noise is the solace, which is plain and noisy and glim.
Yeah.
And then we have this misery thing, that's maybe the light in the tunnel, which is the contradicting to the solace, because maybe the solace would be the light. So I'm just having fun with playing with contradictions here. It's basically a fun experiment with playing with the meanings of those words. Plus, I'm not as you might have already realized, I'm not a English native speaker, so for me all these English pieces are also for me a way to explore the language English and just look up the words. Of course I will often look up the meaning of the words and try to find similar words that have similar meaning and try to find out what this word really means, because it's always more like a dictionary definition, right?
Yeah.
But, so I try to just to explore with these pieces. Yeah.
Did you when you're making these pieces, can I ask what your process is? I think you did explain a little bit, as far as like choosing words and whatnot, but for some of these animations, I mean, some of them are pretty wild, like this porcupine guys. That's pretty cool. If it's a trade secret, totally cool. But yeah, I have.
No,
yes.
It's not a secret. For the animation I mostly use After Effects because I know a little bit about this, and it's really basic animation. There's no secret. It's just I try to, for these animal things, I started a series for all these celebratory events on Higetnung, right? We have this cascade of celebrations of some numbers of objects minted or something, and I just started with using remixes of my Genesis piece, which is a drawing of a cat that my friends hold into the camera. So this was just a real test. Let's test this. What is an NFT? And there was a picture of a cat in there, and that's the gist. And then I just started doing remixes of animals with only words. And basically I just try to imagine find a animal that can move in a certain way, like the porcupine that has these spikes, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, the fish that has these bubbles coming out. And then I just try to imagine it before I do it, because for these animals things, it's the animation is the key. I'm trying to capture this signature animation of an animal, and then I just have to think about, okay, where can the words fit in there? And then there's really no secret. It's just a little bit knowledge about keyframe animation, and that's it basically. And just do it, I guess. That's
so cool. Yeah, like I said, and I think it's great because they're simple, but at the same time, like there's a lot to them. And you've done a lot of collaborations as well. Has that come a lot from your time doing the hackathon? Was that kind of? Do you do a lot of collaborations, or had you done a lot of collaborations before joining the NFT space?
No, this was something new to me, and this is one of the really exciting parts about being part of this NFT thing. It's just you connect with other people, you connect with other artists, and some of them are, really with a fake art, for example, or what is ramen, like he's calling himself now. I had lots of fun discussions beforehand, and we were just. I had this Twitter thread written about frames in digital art. When the frame moves into the image, right? Normally it's outside of the image, and in digital art you often have frames inside the image, which is kind of weird, and I try to explore that for myself on Twitter. And he is someone who has always frames in his images. I think he doesn't have a single work that doesn't feature some kind of frame. So he wrote me, "Hey, you got 100% what I'm doing here in your thread," and we just started chatting, and then this idea came about a multi piece, right? A piece consisting of multiple pieces that are all kind of centered around a frame, and we were just exploring ideas. and they should all, if everything loads up fine, it should be a constant movement that's going from one of the boxes into the next ones, if everything loads correctly. So just a little bit fun and playing with animation too here.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, and I think that's something else that I've seen a lot of coming out of this community, is a lot of collaboration and a lot of mixing of styles, and kind of tributes, and it seems like there's a big sense that the artists all, in general, there's a pretty good sense that there's a lot of respect amongst the artists, where something might be really popular and interesting, and other people are excited about it, and so they make their own version, but they're quick to make sure that it's like, this is a tribute to so and so, or this is my interpretation of that same idea. There's a lot of it going on, and I totally see what you're saying now with all these pieces kind of interacting, and the ramen dropping the words down into the Pong, and it's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, and those collaborations, both of those that are up, like now I have more collaborations up, but there's two that are featuring multiple pieces. Those are just both just fun, and like how would I put it in English? Anarchical. Is there even a word? Anarchist. It's not anarchist, but it's
I think
humor.
I think that's, yeah.
Anarchical fun, and maybe it's Dada or something. Just trying stuff without thinking too much, but afterwards, after it's done, you have something that hopefully has still retained something, some essence of something, hopefully.
Right. Oh, I lost your audio there, just at the end there. Let's see. Irreverent, yeah. Link please to the ramen collab. Definitely will do that right now, actually. Actually, I will go ahead and I'm going to drop the link for Mechant's link tree in the chat, so you can everybody can look at all of the links there. Oh, perfect. Quizzo, you're on it. You're on it. Thank you. Yeah, because it's definitely worth taking a look at these Twitter threads, as well as some of the collaborations and pieces in here. We lost Mechant for a moment. Just give him another minute to reconnect. We're going to check out the Advocate Coppelius, which is his second account for abstract pixel sorting digital manipulation pieces. Super cool. Oh, man. So, yeah, you won the race, Quizio. Make sure to get in there in the chat. If you have any questions for Mechant, don't hesitate to throw them out there. I try to keep a close eye on the chat to make sure I don't miss too much. Want to make sure that you get the most out of this too. I love meeting these people and getting to talk to them. So, and putting a face to the name. I know I'm always surprised by how people look and how people talk and everything, because you develop this kind of image in your head. And Mechant's back.
I'm so embarrassed by my stupid cable. I guess it's just a broken cable.
Don't worry. If there's one thing that I think is a trademark of this show, is my rash of audio problems, and it's mostly me. So you're just taking the heat off of me for a minute. I'm sure to screw up the audio somehow.
The good thing is I know how to fix it, but it's always just a temporary fix until it breaks down again. But,
Isn't that life though?
Yeah, and you got to take breaks, right? Remember that.
Yeah, if you need to read a little in the middle of this, take your time. Take your time. Go read one of those romantic books.
19th century books in the middle of a cast. Yeah,
that's right. All right, literature break. No, I was just saying. I wanted to dive a little bit into your alter ego, the advocate Coppelius.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Let's see. I'm drawn to this one first. I'm still not. I'm getting near. Not yet. Still.
I was on mute.
Oh,
everything's fine. Whew, okay. Should I just start telling something about this project, or do you have specific questions?
Let me know a little bit about it first, because I hadn't realized that when I was looking through your link tree, for some reason this one I just blew right by it, and I haven't seen this before, so this is exciting.
Yeah, this is the visual counterpart basically, and it's just, I started this silently. I didn't really announce that I'm doing this, and it was just my personal, it was kind of a meditative thing for me. I wanted to do something with painting and also with my background with visual effects, filtering and stuff. So I was already experimenting with that kind of stuff, and I thought now I'm just going to mint it and see what happens. And I started with very low edition sizes and just putting it out, and then somehow people found out that it's me, and then and then I was just my second project, I guess, and I just use it to for me it's
There you are.
Yeah.
It's all right. These are beautiful. I'm loving these. They do have a like a soft painterly quality, but then that pixel sorting gives them kind of a jagged look. Merchant, no stress. It's all good. I know you're coming back. I like seeing the words too in the background, like alluding to his other personality. I think I'll wait for him to get back, but I think it's even cooler now knowing the background of the name.
hello again.
No worries, it's all good.
I heard that you were talking and you were just describing, which is great, so I don't even need to say much. The only thing I wanted to just say is basically what I started is I just bought ink, right? And I was just I love the idea of just playing with ink, with something organic or something that I can use a pencil for. I don't really need to bother about being figurative or drawing something anatomically correct or something. I could just, it's basically also abstract expressionism kind of. I just use the stuff I have and I just form it a little bit, maybe fold it, crumble it, right? You see it here. It's a crumbled page of a book in French, which I can't read, unfortunately. Sorry, Mel. And I just, it's a book I found on the street, and I just use stuff I find and just play with it, and then put it through 2D filtering. So and then there is where I really start working on it, actually, when I use these filters. And yeah, it's, as I said, it's just basically something I do for meditation.
Oh. There. Oop. There you are.
Worse and worse.
You're back.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. Yeah. But I think I said everything. It's just meditation, expressing and also experimenting with 2D manipulation, digital manipulation.
Yeah, it's I've always enjoyed kind of that back and forth. When I was talking to a new friend yesterday, and talking about zines, and zines were kind of like, as the internet was blossoming, this was like the underground way to like publish your poetry or publish your art in these tiny magazines that everyone traded, and it wasn't about buying, it wasn't about selling it, it was about getting your stuff out there. And a big part of that when I started making them was like, I was used to, even though I'm an old geezer now too, I was still used to like, there's all these new tools for publishing. Like, again, you can publish a website, you could publish a blog, you could use a layout designer in Photoshop, or I guess it was like Corel Publish or something. And I didn't know those things too well, but I assumed that if I was going to make something, I had to do it on the computer, because there was this beautiful new computer thing that was out there, and I had to do it. But it was so intimidating. So I'm like, well, how are all these punk rockers doing it, and how are all these other people doing it? And I asked my friend, and he's like, oh, you do this, and basically showed me like cut and paste. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I cut out the words, I paste them on a page, I put that through the printer, and that's it. That's my little magazine. And so now, kind of further along, I encourage people to like use both things, being able to take something and print it out on paper so you get that perfect font that you love, but then print that, cut it up, and start collaging it. Or as we were talking about yesterday, I was talking about yesterday with somebody, kind of the William Burroughs, cut up style things. And so to hear that, that I hope to experiment more with that in art. And when I hear people talking about, doing something physically and then scanning it and adding effects to it, it gets exciting, because you get so much you get different things out of each process.
Yeah, Anna Malina is doing a lot of stuff in that regard, if you know her by any chance. She's doing a lot of stuff with scanned photography and using the scanner as some kind of filter, and then digitalizing it back, and also adding animation to it, so it gets a inherently digital quality, which I personally find it important to have something that ties it into the digital realm. Like for me, this is why this pixel sorting, filtering stuff comes in quite handy. You can't reproduce this on a piece of paper only, but you also can't really reproduce it by using just formulas or something. You need this. For me, I find it interesting to have both interconnected. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and you talk. I saw those threads. You're very when you're talking about art in Hic et Nunc. What pushed you to start like examining some of the threads? I was looking through some of the threads earlier, and you examined things like the role of the chair in modern art or in art history, kind of, and where you can find that on the marketplace in this NFT. What's your goal when you're kind of looking at those things? I'm sorry if my question was completely muddled there.
It's a very similar question and also a very similar answer to the question how I came in here. It's exploration is the answer, for me at least. As I said, I came here as an explorer or as someone who tries to find out what this is all about. And for me, it also means analyzing or trying to get a hold of the stuff that's for sale, that's in general, right? So what I'm always looking for is finding common themes or common motives. And this is something that I just like to do. If I look at stuff and try to analyze stuff, which I'm still doing for the NFT sphere, I'm not 100% sure what this is, even after 1 year.
Yeah,
exactly. So it serves for me just as a log, I would say, as a way of just trying to describe what I find here. And it makes sense to not only do it by
no, it's okay.
To not only do it by expressing myself through art, but also by analyzing or looking at other pieces of art and trying to find out what they tell me or how they speak to me.
When you one thing I've noticed in this space is that there's a lot of pressure to sell, a lot of pressure to get your work out there, or Twitter engagement, like, posts about my Twitter engagement flow, like, is anybody out there? And so there's a lot of pressure to succeed. What's your take on that in regards to, do you feel that pressure, having been in the space a little while? And what do you say to artists who are feeling that pressure or feeling like they're not being seen, that they're not successfully marketing their NFTs, those kinds of conversations?
Of course, I feel certain kinds of pressure, but I think especially over the last few weeks where I really started to get involved into the community, the pressure to put stuff out and sell stuff went a little bit down. But I have to say I'm a little bit privileged in that regard, as I have a day job, right? And I can feed my family with it, and I don't have to worry about getting food on the table with this. So this might be different for other people. So this is what I always have to say first. I don't have the monetary pressure, which is, I think, of course, helping in that regard.
Yeah.
But I know the psychological pressure, or it's not peer pressure, but it's the social media pressure, I would call it, that you always have numbers to compare yourself to, right? So, and my best one thing, I really was avoiding anything that relates to Twitter before joining this NFT space, because I learned that disengaging with social media is a good thing if you're taking discussions very, very personally. If you are very empathetic, it can be a lot of stress because you get drawn into emotional discussions all the time.
Yeah.
But this is something different from trying to sell stuff. It's more like the whole interaction thing. You have to learn to navigate that. You have to learn how to distance yourself emotionally from discussions, for example. But this is also a kind of pressure, right? It's emotional pressure. For people that
Oh no! Oh no! He's defeated. It's like no more. Oh god! Oh, here he is. Here he is. And now my mouse doesn't work. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So for people that.
Oh no! Oh no! Man, the cable that wouldn't die, or that wouldn't stop dying. There we go.
So, for people that ask how to get better engagement, or that they don't feel free, can you hear me?
A little bit. I've turned it way up to try and accommodate.
It's again the wrong microphone. Let me fix that. Hello.
Oh,
Yeah. So one important point, and I learned this during the year.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be your art. Sometimes it's also the usage of Twitter. There's a few rules. I get sometimes the question, how can I promote my art? And the first thing I do is I look at their Twitter feed and try to find out if it's maybe just, for example, re-uploading multiple like images multiple times in so-called shill posts, for example, is really bad for your exposure on Twitter. So by just fixing that and using quote tweets instead, for example, there's a very easy fix to maybe help your engagement. There's a set of rules I've for myself developed that are on one side where I try to work towards the Twitter algorithm, and on the other side just try to disengage emotionally from the whole thing, because in the end the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is engage with other people in the space, especially in our Tezos ecosystem. There's a lot of, if you're really genuine and try to what I did, for example, every time I collected something, especially in the beginning when I had more time because I wasn't hanging on Discord all the time, I took the time to write 2 sentences or 1 tweet about everything I collected, and try to let it speak to me and try to say something about it. This has 2 advantages for me. The one is I, for myself, learn how I engage with art, which will help me with my progress, with my personal inspiration. And the other thing is the person on the other side, the other artist, notice that I really took the time to look at it. And I don't think you have to collect it. It's just engage with other art in a genuine way, not just throw stuff into other people's inboxes and say, hello, I have minted this super cool collection of something, but ask, hey, I saw this piece that really spoke to me, or how did you do that, this or that, right? Getting a genuine conversation started helps so much, because the other person will probably you will get some kind of connection. And I think it's all about connecting. And maybe we did this all wrong the whole time with trying to connect via these feeds and these algorithms. Maybe we should just try to connect via inboxes and real conversations. That's my take, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's great advice, and it definitely, it can. I know there are like times when I'm collecting, where I'm in like a collecting frenzy, where I happen to have I'm finding all this great stuff, and it's like 0.01 tez or 0.02 tez, and I'm just like collect. But I forget to reach out, and as an artist, it's nice to hear that somebody's seeing your stuff, like, even if they don't collect it, a couple of words, nice words about it, or couple comments can really make a difference in someone's day. I mean, I know just feeling like you're seen, I guess, can be edifying and build you up a little bit.
Yeah, and it also helps yourself in the end too, because you probably make a connection, and the other person will maybe see some stuff of you. For me, it's also, as an artist or as someone also again privileged, I don't need that money, right?
Sure.
As someone who's just putting stuff out there, a quote retweet that really says something that I maybe haven't seen about a piece I minted is to me more wholesome, or more gives me more than a notification that says, hey, you got now 4 tezos more or something, right?
Right.
So but that's getting a little bit out of that economical thinking all the time, maybe. But it's on the other hand, the whole NFT sphere is all based on economics, right? So there's always this divide.
Yeah. I think that's one of the interesting things about NFTs is like, because the base layer is money, programmable money. How do you? I mean, in a capitalist world, like everything kind of trends towards like extreme capitalism, and there are some like profile pic projects that are like the examples of like just flipping an NFT to flip an NFT, or so there's these like dynamics that are out there that you cannot avoid. Like, again, the idea of just being able to get something to flip it to make some cash, like that's always going to be there. Versus, collect. I don't know. I guess, yeah.
But the interesting thing, and I hope more people.
Oh, nope, not yet. There we go. Got it. Oh, it's your screen. It's your screen, Mike.
Now it should be fine.
Got it.
I hope at some point I say, I found the world formula or something, and then it breaks up, and then we never know because I never come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is an interesting aspect I would like to explore more in the future, or what fascinates me about NFTs, is there's two parallel running aspects of this. There's the economic aspect. There's the economic aspect where money gets traded, tokens get traded, and ownership is traded, right? The thing we are so interested about because it's something new for digital artworks. But there's the other thing that's related to decentralized hosting of files, to some kind of tokenization. But you can still access the media. I know there's unlockable content. This is something else, but what fascinates me is you can still go there, and without collecting, you can find the stuff. You can see collections of other people. For example, if you're a traditional art collector and you keep your stuff in your personal, whatever you want, living room, or maybe you have a facility where you store your pieces. Some people give it to museums, but you can technically lock it away. But in a world where you collect art and everyone can see your collection and enjoy the exact same thing because it's digital, right? You can replicate it. It's a very interesting thing to me, right? We have this. Everything can be copied, and we put ownership aspect onto it, but without taking it away from the general public. And this is something I would always like to stress when we're talking about these economic aspects. There is a democratic aspect to it too.
Mhm.
We just have to preserve it, because I'm personally not a fan of unlockable content for this reason, because I think one of the beautiful aspects of this is that we can still make it accessible even if you don't collect it.
Yeah.
And you can there's still this element of, I have this piece, I have this token that's mine, right? I have 1 of 5 tokens that point to this piece of art, but you still, as someone who doesn't have this token, can still view it, right? You can, for example, if you haven't collected this, you can still take a look and we can discuss this as it's 100% the same as on my computer.
Individual ownership with collective access.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's definitely something new. And it is those types of ideas, it's those types of things that are worth fighting for and worth fighting to keep at the forefront. I was going to ask you, I had one, what was it? My mind is drawing a blank all of a sudden. With your personal work, do you find yourself hitting writer's block, or kind of like creative roadblocks? And if you do, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I do. And one of the reasons why I started this pixel sorting project is one of those, because I sometimes need to move away from words and from this conceptual pieces, because those, like my visual poems are conceptual, I would call them, at least. So you have one idea at the center, and sometimes it doesn't work. It just doesn't come to my head. And the best thing, I would say, like the best thing is either move to something else, like music, or just splashing ink onto paper for a few days, or basically just wait until something pops up again, because you can't really fight it.
Take a minute and go hide under a table and read some 18th century literature.
Yeah, 19th century. So, but but yeah, exactly. Just I try to just do something else, because there's always enough stuff to do, or just throw myself into Discord and try to community manage or something. Wow, that has some price tag now. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh. No, not yet. Almost there. That's a beauty. There, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on your other microphone.
Yeah.
There it is.
This was, I remember that. Pixelful collected this, and I was so excited, because it was so early when I was pretty new to that project, and I was so happy that he collected this piece. Yeah,
that's beautiful. One cool thing I wanted to talk about too is the TIA keeps changing up here, the logo. That seems like a little bit representative of that community aspect. Am I wrong there?
You're absolutely right, and it's also, this idea popped up on the Discord. Hey, because people were, as soon as we had, even before we had the final vote out, people were just bringing logo ideas to the Discord and just posting them in the naming channel. We had a channel where we discussed names and logos, and people were just posting stuff there constantly, and great logo ideas. And someone just said, hey, we should put all of those up, actually, because they are also beautiful and so different and so diverse, right? And then we made it happen, I guess.
Yeah.
We have a submission form if you want to send in your logo, by the way. You can do that. I can post a link maybe in here if you give me a sec.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to me personally, it's a beautiful idea, which also helps us because we don't have to vote at the moment on anything. And it works perfectly fine. And and it as you said, it kind of represents the community aspect, right? And the ever-changing aspect of everything, right?
Right. And and I think one thing I learned from kind of years of hosting an open mic with a friend of mine and watching that community evolve is that you mentioned nostalgia earlier when we were talking, and communities, because they're full of people, lean into nostalgia. And the community that you when I first signed on to Hic et Nunc, there was something that sparked my passion. Like there was something that brought me in and made me want to do this show and meet people. And as the community changes, there are some of those aspects that change with it. And so the community that I see now is different from the community I saw a year ago. But right now, for me, there is enough of the passionate and exciting things still here that I still identify as like a member of the community, and it still feels almost the same as it did and as exciting as it did when it all started. But there very well could be a point in a year or 2 years where the things that excited me about it are no longer there, and my part in the community changes and I shift away from it. But somebody just coming in at that point, they might be excited and feel nostalgic about the time that's happening while I'm leaving. And my point is that it's like a snapshot. Like what you find special about a community, it's okay to outgrow a community. It's okay to a community is ever shifting and changing. And the more you try to control it and hold on to like one vision of that community, the harder it is to preserve, I guess. I applaud the ongoing work of kind of working together as a community to make decisions and stuff, even though it can be difficult.
Yeah, as you said, and I think this is a point that came up in the discussion frequently, is the ever-changing aspect. So the you never arrive at a, I would say, at least that's what I perceive as, this community will never arrive at a point where everyone says, now we reached utopia and everything is just as we want it to be. So there will always be evolvements, improvements, aspects that that are not perfect, right? But that's, to me, is the beauty of it, that it's just ever changing and never stays the same. And as you said, every point you come in, you will get a completely different view onto everything. And maybe that's a part of decentralization also, because everything is it's a chaotic system where you have so many input pieces that form this organic structure, and that never stays the same because people change, people get older, new people come in with other ideas, with other visions. But what I think is important nevertheless is to have some core ideas, some core concepts in mind that are binding this diffuse mold together.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let me get this into copy link. Got your link here. Okay.
Yeah, this is just a Google form. If you want to submit your logo, you can do do it here, you have to apply to a certain, you need to comply. Some rules apply to the submission, because, for example, we can only show PNG files, and in a certain aspect ratio, because it has to fit in the space there. But other than that, creative freedom.
That's right. If you're in the chat or you're watching, please drop your Tezos address. I want to share something with everybody. Send it out to your wallets for joining us today. Merchant, did you... and you can see the current logos. It says, Quizio says...
Right. We have a logo viewer, so you don't have to refresh 100 times to see everything. Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you have anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to mention? Because I know I tend to ramble a little bit and I go a little bit all over the place, and we're winding up our time here, so I want to make sure if I didn't mention a project that you're working on, or exciting stuff coming up.
No, I think, like, in terms of projects, we covered everything. I have those 2 projects as my main things, and my community involvement is at the moment my most important. That's where I spend my free time, basically, at the moment, because for me this means a lot. To me this means a lot. So I try to, as I said, I'm not relying on a income from my art sales. But I feel this. I would really love to mint. For example, today I prepared one piece that I will try to get out today. I need to remind myself that I sometimes need to draw a little bit back on the Discord and just go back to making art. What I came here for, after all. But I think we covered at the moment, as we said, a ever-changing system, right? So my current involvement is basically covered. And I'm really, really thankful for people like you that bring people together and showcase people. I'm always happy to talk. In the beginning, when I was on my first interviews, it was really, really strange to talk about my own art. But in discussions like these, right, we have this chit-chat format here where we just talk in a very long format. It feels very comfortable to me. I just have to say that. So. Very, very, very comfortable here. I'm very, And also thanks to everyone who contributes on the Discord, I have to say, because it's so beautiful to see the movement. And we had a time when engagement was very low, and we had to just put in a lot of time, and and it was really, really hard to get to the point we are at now. And I'm so happy we done it. We have the name and the logo is running, and we have a new smart contract for collecting, and everything seems to align now. And I just wanted to thank everyone who is involved in that.
Absolutely. I actually I did remember one question. As far as I think I mentioned it kind of in my intro, collecting art has felt very the NFT translation to the connection to art and authentication. It feels very natural. Collecting art feels very natural. NFT applications to music and literature kind of are 2 areas that I'm really interested to see what happens. Because we've been talking a little bit about typography, literature, and that, I'm wondering if you have some ideas of where these things where these link up, like literature and NFTs. And
thank you for reminding me, because I totally forgot to mention one project that's really, really cool, and you will also, if you haven't heard of it, you will probably be very interested in that, so I will share it with you in a private chat. It's called the Verse, if you haven't heard of it. It's an initiative or a collective, I would say, by various literature NFT artists, led by Anna Maria Calabero and Sasha Stiles, which is an awesome artist I really love.
Yeah, she's
and they started a collection or a project around literature NFTs that also relate to fine art. So we are living on that edge, right, where you have fine art and literature finally meeting after so many years. And NFT is especially interesting for that, because we have these formats that really help literature. For example, bringing illustration and written and words together, or not only illustration but also the spoken word pieces. Poetry is a very good format for NFT because it has a certain length normally. If we're not talking about Dante or something, normally you have a short format that you can compress into an NFT pretty cool. And so check this out, I would say, and I'm glad you mentioned it, because otherwise I would just totally have forgotten it, which would be a shame, because let's just try to promote that. There's a lot of stuff on Tezos. They have a little bit, a few works on other chains too. But I was also, when they approached me, I was also very, very happy that I could mint my stuff on my own account on Tezos, and they were just incorporating everything in there. At the moment, they are just trying to combine the powers of literature NFTs, and that's an awesome initiative. And the other thing was music, of course. Hen Radio is a very interesting project.
Absolutely.
And I think there should be lots of potential there to grow this community. I think it will just be a little bit behind because everyone is looking at beautiful pictures first.
Yeah.
But the potential is there, right? To and also this shared ownership is there too, right? You can listen to the songs too if you don't own them, but you can also support the artist by having your own piece of music. This is something that's also pretty new, right?
Yeah.
If you have CDs or something, it's not the same as a 10-piece music thing, right? So there's lots of potential there that people don't really like. I think it just takes time, and then it will just grow and grow and grow, in my opinion. And you can combine everything, right? You could combine literature and visual arts and music together, and everyone could mint it on the collaboration contract we have at Taya, for example.
Right.
And everyone can profit of that, and you have a Gesamtkunstwerk, to say it in German. Like,
Wait, can you say it one more time?
Gesamtkunstwerk.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, that's what Wagner was always talking about, bringing the visuals and the music and the literature together in one piece of art. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mechant, I'm like, yeah, this has been such a great time. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to chat with me and for telling us more about you. And I look forward to seeing what you do, and I'd love to have you on again.
It was a pleasure, really. I love these talks, and I love art talk in general. If you wouldn't stop me, I could ramble on. Thank you for having me. It was really nice, and I was trying to catch up with the chat.
Oh, no, not yet. It had to go out one last time.
I was just saying, maybe I should invest some Tezos into a new equipment set up here. That would be a good investment.
Yeah. No, this is great. And for you and for everybody in the chat as well, I did create a community calendar last week for people that want to add their upcoming art drops or upcoming art releases. There's a community calendar now that's live and going at the tezos-artcast.xyz site. So yeah, I hope people use it, and everybody can stay linked in and know what's going on. Their little phone calendar can be subscribed to it and know when Mechant Coppola's next piece is going live. So, but yeah, I'm excited to see where the TIA community goes, and yeah,
me too. I'm very, I'm just excited, and as I said, there's lots of potential and lots of experiments ahead. I hope we keep that spirit of just trying stuff. I love that.
Absolutely.
And also, like, there should always be room for failure too, right? I think that's relieving if you realize it. We are just trying stuff, and everyone who wants can join. And the good thing is, over the last few weeks, the whole ecosystem grew immensely, right? You have lots of new platforms on Tezos over the last few months, and in my opinion, that only helps everyone to find their niche. Some.
No. There we go. Oh no.
Yeah.
There we go.
So some will find their niche in places where others really wouldn't go in the ecosystem. And in my opinion, I've had really heated discussions during in November, when the ecosystem kind of was disrupted. Let's call it that. There was a big impact there, and I think it's always worthwhile thinking about if you want to really fight with each other, or if you just want to build the space you would like to see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we have room for everyone, and everyone can really find the space for themselves, and without really being hostile towards another space that maybe is works differently. So that would be my wish personally. For we are going into the 1 year anniversary of the original Hic et Nunc soon, and I hope this can be maybe the year of growing the ecosystem together. Yeah,
absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, and again, we'll be in touch, and keep being great. No, I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much, really.
Thank you, and thanks for everyone who stayed in here and listened to the ramble.
No, yeah, I appreciate everyone in here as well, and we will see you next week. We've got let me double check my community calendar. We do have some stuff lined up for next week. Let's see who's coming on next week. Let's find out. I should already know. Just don't want to get the name wrong. Art drop calendar. Oh, that's right. So a couple of things are coming up this week. We got the Vessels Gen 0 is dropping on the 15th. Ziggo's Gen Gelatos on the 14th. And then Wednesday the 16th, which is next week, we'll be talking to Chunky Isla, the illustrator. I'm excited.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. It'll be 4 o'clock next week, my time. We have to push it back because Chunky is in Hong Kong. So a little later thing. But yeah, so again, Mechant, thank you so much. We will catch you later. And to everyone else out there in the Artcast world, thank you. And we'll see you next week, a little later than normal, but we'll be here with Chunky Isla, and we'll catch you then. Peace out. Visit the site. Check things out later.